FNAF 3 is a game that needs no introduction. It is well regarded as the worst out of the original 4 games made by Scott. But why is this the case? What if I told you FNAF 3 is by far the most horrific of the first 4 games? And it all starts in the office you are faced with. The setting of FNAF 3 is instilling such raw feelings of abandonment. A once thriving pizzeria franchise turned into a decrepit horror attraction. Through the many long arching hallways in the building, you can just feel the essence of a pizzeria, the pictures almost feeling uncanny as they still appear clean and intact, where everything else around them has been withering away for some time. Some rare instances the player can see pictures of a white-eyed bunny, which sends an unnerving sign to the player of the true danger of this game. In the first night, there is no danger. It's one of the only nights in the FNAF franchise which has no animatronic threat. Instead, the player gets to immerse in the environment laid out in front of them. The humming, almost ghostly sounds of the building, which almost sounds as if the angry spirits trapped in the animatronics are reaching for you. This all starts with the night starting. The way it sets the tone for the whole game with its uncanny feel. It's like something going away from the player, as if our freedom has suddenly disappeared and we are forced to share our night with something. Even in the night, through our cams, we see 2 exits. One at the top of the building and one next to our office. The red flashing light of the exit almost screams just leave, yet for some reason, we stay willingly. It gives mysteriousness to who the night guard might be. Why would we almost force ourselves to experience this nightmare? This is all addressed by Phone Dude. This anonymous person is simply a spectator to the whole FNAF incident. The rumors of what happened at Freddy's have been spread through many years. And even during the events of FNAF 3 30-ish years after the initial missing children incident, people still question what truly happened. Phone Dude is clueless to the true danger of this job, almost telling us how this whole attraction is just relics of the past. His tone is completely goofy and he isn't aware of the dangers of these relics this place has. Phone Dude just goes look out for the ventilation and keep people out, and that's pretty much it. This makes the player not trust the Phone Dude, and even more so question what truly lurks in the building. This all is answered on the second night, where finally they found an animatronic. With the animatronic, the Phone Dude also found audio tapes from the old pizzeria. Phone Dude simply says it's in there somewhere, and you'll see it. And when the player finally gazes the bunny down in the cameras, it's when FNAF 3 truly starts. This first interaction of an animatronic is one of my favorites in the whole series. Suddenly, the tone of the game shifts completely, and once we just cared about people going in and out of the building is now what's that thing and is it moving toward me? All this is fractions to the sheer horrific nature of the game's true antagonist, Springtrap. It's no wonder this character is considered by most the best animatronic in the whole franchise. This isn't a simple case of animatronic faulty programming. You are faced with the remains of what once was a man named William Afton. This man was behind the true mystery of Freddy's. One by one, children were taken in by a yellow bunny, only to be swiftly taken out. He is a wicked man, and well, time was catching up with him. Through FNAF 3's 8-bit levels during the post nights, we see each animatronic be taken out by William Afton. Unknowingly, William had just freed the souls of his victims, and they were out for revenge. After the events of Night 5, the souls trapped William in a room. The only escape for William was the yellow bunny suit, the one he used to kill them. However, as fate would have it, the suit succumbed to the harsh conditions of the room. Suddenly, the suit snapped and spring-locked. The very same fate Phone Guy warned the player during the tapes Phone Dude collected. Each metal rod skewed into William. Eventually, the metal caved into every bone and ligament throughout his whole body, causing him to bleed out. Due to the remnant the suit had, William would be spared the luxury of death, and instead be forced to be trapped in this room for eternity. Truly a fate worse than death, one only a man like William would succumb to. For 30 years, the corpse of William would deteriorate, and eventually all that remained of William was a shell of his whole body. His body has been forever connected to this suit, and eventually the man became mad and insane. It's hard to imagine the true fate of William Afton, as it's truly horrific. How days become weeks, soon months, and eventually time itself has little to no meaning. The only thing that saved William is the mystery of his own doing. This still lived on and was enough to free him, unleashing him into the wild, and well, you now have to face him in the remains of what he created. Through the nights you hear the groans and many cries of Springtrap. Every step is forced, and the pain he feels is unimaginable. The cranks of the spring locks plunge further into his body, but the premise of vengeance is enough to drive him. All he has is his will to kill the Night Guard, which is why Springtrap is by far one of the most unsettling animatronics in the whole franchise. His gaping eyes seen during his jump scare, a stare straight into the soul. It's unclear what happens from this point onward, but one thing is certainly clear. You won't make it out of this attraction alive. FNAF 3 is littered with secrets and other cool Easter eggs. The game has two endings, with the good ending being a secret marathon. Each night houses many secrets, and it brings replay value to a game which, although has an amazing atmosphere and tension, has pretty easy mechanics. Although phantoms are a nice mixture, as without phantoms the game would be too easy. Gameplay wise, FNAF 3 takes a more lenient approach to horror. Compared to the first three games, this one takes a different approach to the survival horror genre. Instead of relying on a door or mask to get rid of animatronics, you now need to focus on using audio. FNAF 3 plays more like a game of cat and mouse. You need to keep Springtrap out of your office at all costs. Springtrap is also very effective at using his environment. These are traits a serial killer would possess. Through the cameras you can see the different ways Springtrap will blend into his environment. It's very similar to Freddy from the first game. However, now Springtrap isn't on a set pattern. Springtrap can move anywhere throughout the horror attraction. So keeping a track on Springtrap is a priority the player should have. The game utilizes a different horror than the first two games. By now the first two games have already established that animatronics are dangerous. This is why FNAF 1 to this day has the most frightening Night 1. FNAF 3 based the player into thinking there is no real threat. But then on that second night, you suddenly realize that a threat does exist, and dealing with Springtrap becomes pivotal for the player's survival. To keep the player from constantly tracking Springtrap, there are occasional problems the player may face. For example, your ventilation may go off, which will not only make it harder to see, but it will give Springtrap a speed boost. You also have audio and camera errors, which will also make it a lot harder to keep Springtrap away from your office. The phantoms act as distractions, and Springtrap being the ultimate threat. Although this would in theory make the game easier, as less lethal threats are better, but honestly, when you get into the later nights, the game can prove difficult. This is most prevalent in the Night 6 aggressive difficulty, which is the ultimate test of the player's skill. A nice addition is that phantom attacks are preventable with sharp reaction time, like for instance closing or switching the cams of Balloon Boy, or not sitting still whilst Freddy moves across the hallway will make it so they won't jump scare you. Compared to a game like FNAF 2, it's clear this game is more focusing on horror elements, and I really praise the different tone this game has. This game is a different take on the horror the first 2 games showed, and has by far the most gruesome story. So to end this video, I need to say something. FNAF 3 isn't my favorite FNAF game, and honestly it's probably not even my top 5, but I still regard it as a game which is enjoyable, and most of all chilling, with by far the most interesting character in the whole FNAF franchise, Springtrap. So that's my view on FNAF 3. Let me know what you thought of this video, and if you enjoyed the video, smash a like as it really does help the channel out. And until next time, take it easy and goodbye.